right, a pleasant Monday evening, everyone. This first Monday of the month of February, and welcome to another edition of Norse Nation. I'm Jim Couch. Steve Moeller is not with us tonight. Steve decided after a couple of great days down in Florida weather-wise that what the heck, he's going to stay down there for a few more days. He'll be back middle of the week, and he'll be back with me on Saturday for the upcoming game against the Lipscomb team. But Dave Bezold, the head coach, is alongside, and we'll be talking men's basketball with him. We'll be talking the women's basketball team and how they fared this weekend with Don Pltizuweit, the head coach of the NKU women. And we're here at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder. We'd love to have you come on down. You know where it is by now, right off I-275, exit 77. That's the AA highway. We're in the back room. You can come on back. You can watch television during commercial breaks. You can eat pizza. You order a pizza. You buy one. You get one free. It's a great pizza deal. We have a pretty good crowd here tonight, and we'd love to have you come down and join us as well. All right, Dave, we'll talk about the men's team and how things went this past week. I know we would love to be able to talk about a W from this past weekend down in Florida, but unfortunately things did not go very well for your squad. You lose on Thursday night at Stetson, 85-75. You lose on Saturday night at Florida Gulf Coast, 74-64. So after one half of the conference season in ASUN play, you sit at 9-13 overall, 3-4 in the conference. That puts you in fifth place right now, or one out of the money, so to speak, meaning if you can finish in that top four with another half of conference play to go, you can host a home game, and I guess realistically that's the first goal to try to get to.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's it. When you start out the conference, that's what you're looking to do. You know that 4 teams get a home game, and you'd love to fall into one of those slots, and we're halfway there, and you know what? We've got 7 games left, so we'll do our best, and we'll see if we can move up a couple spots and garner one of those home games.
Florida Gulf Coast and North Florida right now sit atop the conference at 6-1. South Carolina Upstate, a team that NKU defeated down there in Spartanburg earlier this season, sits at 4-3, and then the opposition for this coming Saturday night, the Lipscomb Bisons, also sit at 4-3, and then NKU comes in at 5th right now at 3 wins and 4 losses. I guess when you look back at Thursday's game at Stetson, and we had talked last week about coming off the victory at home on Saturday afternoon against Jacksonville, we kind of liked the setup way it was going to go in. You play a Stetson team that you figured you should win against if you played your best game, give you a little momentum, a 2-game winning streak going into Saturday, and sometimes you put the cart, so to speak, before the horse. No way to look at it any other way from Thursday at Stetson. That was just a bad game.
Well, it was one of those games where you go into and you feel good about where you were. We came off, like you said, a good win at home against Jacksonville. We're headed down there. And winning on the road is difficult in college. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. But we get down there, and we really struggled defensively most of the night. And to their credit, they made shots all night long and made plays when they had to. And unfortunately, we were unable to get a win.
You got down by 16 late in the first half. You were down 35-19. You go into halftime down by 10 at 37-27. You score the last 5 points of the first half. Then you score the first 4 points of the second half. A little 9-0 run, 37-31. You're down by 6. That was wasn't indicative of how the entire game went, because every time you guys would make a run and look like you were really going to take control of the thing, they were able to gain momentum back from you guys.
Yeah, it just seems one of those nights where every time we did get close and had opportunities, we weren't able to capitalize on them. I still can see in my head a late possession, and we're down 3, and we turn the ball over trying to enter it into the post, and they go down and score in transition. And instead of getting a shot up down 3, all of a sudden in 13 seconds we're down 8. So it was one of those nights where whatever could go wrong did go wrong.
Yeah, that was a 65-62 right after the timeout at 7:36, and you have a possession, can't quite capitalize, can't quite get what you need. You talked, Dave, after that game about maybe the worst defensive job that you'd seen your guys turn in this year, right?
Yeah, we really struggled doing what we wanted to do defensively and containing the ball and closing out on drivers and taking away shooters and things like that. And for whatever reason, we just couldn't get into a rhythm defensively. So it was a tough night all around for us down there.
You end up going 13 of 33 from three-point range. Second most threes you've attempted this year. Second most threes you've made in a game this year. I asked you about that on the post-game show about, are you happy with 33 threes? You said, I don't mind 33 threes. if they're the shot that is there for us to take, and if we can knock those down. But for some reason, this year, this hasn't been your year in terms of threes. You go into Saturday at 32%, bottom of the A-Sun, and it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Because you have 4 or 5 guys who I think are legitimate three-point shooters, and yet for some reason the consistency has not been there this year.
Yeah, that is a frustrating thing, the consistency of the shooting. But we really can't compare Stetson and Florida Gulf Coast. Stetson played a zone, and that's why we took the number of threes we did. And any night you can make 13 threes, you're going to take it. That's an incredible number. You'll take it, especially when the percentages weighed out the way they did. And Florida Gulf Coast, it's the same thing. North Florida chose not to come off our shooters, so we didn't have great looks. Florida Gulf Coast did the same thing. They chose not to give clean looks to the shooters. And Stetson did. They said, go ahead and shoot the ball, and if you can make them, we'll see if we can beat you that way. So some of it's been that the inconsistency that way, getting clean looks from guys. But we do have a couple that just have been inconsistent this year. And, it's a long year, and that's the hope that, at some point, that light comes back on and they get back into the rhythm and they knock those shots down, because it's going to be very important.
Well, you were down 10 in that game, as I mentioned, at halftime, 37-27. You shoot only 35% in the first half. They shoot 58, and I know that you think to yourself, we can shoot better in the second half of this game, and we can get back into this thing. And, in fact, you do shoot better, 53% in the second half, 53% from threes in the second half, 9 of 17. But they shoot 68%. That's tough to overcome, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't give that up at any time and expect to win a basketball game. And I just felt like the entire weekend that there were some fundamental things defensively that we didn't do well enough to earn wins. And that's the bottom line. You're playing college basketball players, and you better be sound defensively, and especially being on the road, because it's so difficult to win on the road. And we found out that, hey, if you're not really good each possession, you're not going to win basketball games.
I looked at the numbers of this after the game, and I'm looking at it right now. Stetson, going into that game on Thursday, was dead last in free throw percentage on the year at 63%, and they knocked down 20 of 24. I think they made their first 18 or so in that game. 20 of 24 from the line. You guys go only 2 of 6 without blasting an official. How does that comparison come to be? 24 attempts for them, 6 for an entire game for the Norse.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult. Again, it's on the road, and it's difficult to win on the road. And again, we shot 33 threes, so there's opportunities that we didn't have driving it to the basket, but we did throw it in a number of times inside where, the play on contact we just didn't feel like was, consistently being called. And again, it's one of those things you can't get too involved when you can't get your kids too worked up about it. You just got to try to play through it and figure out a way to win under those circumstances. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that.
Unfortunately for your team, that Stetson club, which had not won a game, in fact had lost 11 conference games in a row, pulls that one out. 48-48 in the second half. They win by 10, 85-75. And so now you're really under the gun going into Saturday. And Florida Gulf Coast made tougher by the fact that North Florida actually lost their game. Well, I take that back. North Florida did win over Kennesaw. Then they had to come back and play on Saturday. So you go into Florida Gulf Coast, which in the first 2 years that NKU has been in the conference, they've been the big dog along with Mercer. Of course, they were the first A-Sun team to go to the Sweet 16. They were a first-time ever 15 seed in the NCAA tournament to get to a Sweet 16. And while they are not exactly the same team as they have been the last couple of years, they have a couple of holdovers in Brett Comer and Bernard Thompson that really are a handful, aren't they?
Oh, they're just great basketball players, and they're winners. They've been in big basketball games. They've won big tournament games, whether it be in the A-Sun or in the NCAA tournament. They're seniors. They could play for a number of basketball teams across the nation, and they're really they just understand when it's win time, all the little things they've got to do to win, and they make big plays. And those two are really, really good players.
There were a couple of things that we talked about in the post-game show on Saturday night down there in Fort Myers that really stuck out in your mind. One was when Jamel Jones picked up a foul right around 2:35 or so to go in the first half. He commits the foul against Tyler White. Then he argues with the official right in front of their bench and gets a technical foul. So he gets his third foul, 2 fouls on one play. They take him out of the game. You send Anthony Monaco, who had missed only one free throw all year, 14 of 15 to the line to shoot the technicals. He misses the first one, makes the second with everybody off the lane. And then Tyler White comes in, and he's a good free throw shooter as well. And I'll be darned if he didn't miss them both. I know you mentioned afterwards that you thought that was a big, big juncture of the game.
Well, because it was right around the time, too, that we had a couple opportunities to get rebounds. We knocked them from ourselves, and they kicked them out for threes. So all those little things led from us being, right there, maybe a 1 or 2 point game, to it being 10 to 12. And it was a really critical juncture during the game, because in the second half, when we make the run, instead of being down 4 or 5, we may have been up 2 or 3. So it seemed like all those little things, the bounces, the missed opportunities and opportune times, we just weren't able to capitalize on enough.
Late in the first half, you're down 41-27. You score 4 straight, and it looks like you're going to go into the locker room down by 10. Thompson hits that, 27, 28-foot three right in front of your bench, off the glass. That really kind of gave them, I thought, the momentum back going into the locker room.
It sure did, but to our guys' credit, we just talked about a few things at halftime and said, look, they just made 9 threes, which they haven't done all year in the first half. That's going to come back. And if we just stay solid and do the things we're going to make a run, and we're going to be right there to give ourselves an opportunity. And that's what we did.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, when we had that opportunity and the ball late in the game, we turned it over.
You were down by 13 at 57-44. You cut it to 8 at 57-49. You cut it down to 5. This was the possession that you're talking about. You cut it down to 5. You're down 62-57. 62-52. You score 5 straight. You're down by 5 at 62-57. They miss a shot. You get the rebound and bring the ball up the court. And things were clearly going your way at that time, weren't they?
Oh, we had great momentum. We had great confidence, playing with great momentum. I thought our defense had settled in and really understood what we needed to do with it, and what we were looking to make them do offensively. And it was just another one of those things where when you get down by 12, 13, 14 at half or whatever it was, your run doesn't catch you up, and you still have a little more to catch up on, and that's what it was. And to have, it would have been nice to make those free throws and had the ball to tie or take the lead at that point. But again, our guys battled back and did a tremendous job that way against a really good team, and we were just unable to make the plays offensively right there at the end.
Some of the numbers of that game, your team only commits 8 turnovers, only 3 in the second half of that game. A 20-point effort for Taylor Persons, a 14-point game for Jalen Billups, and I believe I wrote down that 7 consecutive double-figure games for him. This guy has really, really become consistent, hasn't he?
He really has, and he's done it against some really good competition. Florida Gulf Coast's first team that double-teamed him in a while, and he did a very nice job still being able to be opportunistic with the double team and things like that. Now we just need a few more to be consistent with him, and we'll be fine.
Dave Bezold is the head coach of the NKU Norse men's basketball team. He's with us here at the Mellow Mushroom for another edition of Norse Nation. We'll come back with more right after this from Learfield Sports. This is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. All right, Jim Kelch back to the Mellow Mushroom Wilder here off of I-275, exit 77. We invite you to come on down for, I guess we have about 40 minutes or so left of Norse Nation, our weekly talk with Dave Bezold, the head coach of the NKU men's basketball team, and in the second half hour, Dawn Pltizuweit, the head coach of the NKU women's team. We're on the men's team right now, who lost a pair of games this past weekend, and going into this weekend, one game, that'll be against Lipscomb. And we're looking back at the scores, Dave, from this past weekend. Lipscomb, they lost both games as well. They lose at Florida Gulf Coast 78-62 on Thursday night. Then they lose at Stetson on Saturday by 2, 75-73. I would consider that, as your game on Thursday, an upset. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I think going into the weekend you do, then coming out of the weekend you just go, wow, anything can happen in the league. And again, it's on the road. I know going down the Stetson, the coaches were not overlooking that game, bottom line. And the players may not have been, but when we watched them on film, they did a lot of good things. They had some injuries here coming back. But, again, on paper, when you look at it, you're going, we're catching them at the right time. And Lipscomb probably felt the same way. Going down there, you're hoping, best case scenario 2-0, but you're feeling pretty good about it. Your chances of coming out of there 1-1 with a lot of pressure off of you going to the Florida Gulf Coast trip, but Stetson didn't cooperate.
Steve does his pregame interview with the visiting coach, and he talked with Corey Williams, and he came back after doing the interview, and He had said, you know what? He feels really good about going into tonight's game. He thought, even though they hadn't been playing overly well, that they had played better the weekend before. And it's not a new line, certainly, but he said to Steve, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're starting to get this thing turned around, and they kind of verify that with a victory on Saturday against Lipscomb as well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. When you watched them play, they always stayed close into the game, and sometime in the second half, it would slip away from them, and they put two good games together.
So at the first half, as we mentioned, Florida Gulf Coast and North Florida sit atop the A-Sun at 6-1. They sit atop of that because North Florida was beaten at home by South Carolina Upstate on Saturday night, 79-74. You would consider that an upset only because of the standings, but truth be told, Upstate is a very good team and could be kind of a sleeper for the second half, couldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're going to be a sleeper. They lost a couple tough games early.
One to your team.
Absolutely, and they beat Georgia Tech and Mississippi State, and so they're pretty good. So they understand how to win on the road. They've got three good senior guards, so they're going to be one of them right there in the runnings.
So you have one game then this week. It's against Lipscomb. It's Saturday night at 7 o'clock. You can hear the game on 55 KRC with our pregame show beginning at 6:30. How do you like, and I think I know the answer to this, but how do you like the one-game week? And you have a number of them, extra ones this week because of the conference is down in terms of numbers.
One's good. Just to get yourself back, the kids rested, especially when you come off of a road trip. But once you get into the flow, you really like the consistency of playing on consistent dates and getting to a routine. So that's the thing. But it's okay right now where we're coming off this stretch, so I don't mind it right now.
Again, that game Saturday night at the Bank of Kentucky Center is at 7 o'clock against the Lipscomb Bisons. They're down in Nashville. Their overall record is 10-12. Their conference mark tied for third with Upstate at 4-3, but they have lost 3 games in a row, and they are the team, in fact, that you started conference play with down in Nashville on the 10th of January, a game in which you lose 80-61. And I know you've kind of pointed at that game and said, really, that was one of the poor performances that your team has had this year.
Absolutely. I thought really we felt good going into that game, too. We felt good about our practices before, and then for whatever reason we went out there and things just didn't go very well for us. They played a zone. We couldn't make shots until really, really late. I see a 6 for 30 circled there.
Yeah.
And I think we made maybe one until about the last 4 minutes of the game.
Well, you were 1 for your first 22 threes. You made 5 of your last 8.
Yeah, so when the story's told and you're down 30, those don't do much for you. So, again, the consistency of those and the balance. I think, we're coming home and we've played really well at home. So it's going to be a good and a very important stretch for us.
Yeah, you look at some of the numbers of what Lipscomb did in that game. Josh Williams, who was a member of the all-freshman team in the A-Sun a year ago, came in averaging 14 points a game, went off for you on 24 points in that game. And then another big effort by Malcolm Smith, one of the 2 Smith brothers. You did not have to contend with Martin Smith, and you may not have to contend with Martin Smith this Saturday. He has that broken right foot, and so you may not see him again. But then another guy who really killed you in the second half of that game was the freshman Nathan Moran.
Yeah, he made big shots. I think he hit 4 threes the second half, and one of those things where when things were going well for them, everything went well for them. And when you get that 10, 15-point lead, shots are a lot easier to take and make. So we're going to have to be a lot better defensively on Williams and Smith. Smith's really hurt us the last couple years. He just does a tremendous job using his body and getting to the free throw line. What we're going to need is Chad Jackson to have a great game defensively. He played very sparingly in that game against them. Again, we're going to be home, and we've got a lot of confidence. Home played well, and it's going to be an important game to get.
Some of the numbers of that game, Tyler White late had a number of threes. He had 4 total in the game and had 20 points. 14.5 rebound effort for Jalen Billups in that game, and a 10.5 rebound, 5 assist effort by Taylor Persons. You're down by 10 at halftime in that game. You lose it by 19, 80-61, and you've really had a tough time playing down there in Nashville, haven't you?
We really have, for whatever reason. I know Lipscomb's a really physical team, and it's something we're going to have to match this time to have an opportunity to get a win. But for whatever reason in Nashville, we haven't played our best basketball, but we've played them pretty well at home. So, again, we're going to be at home, and we're going to have to play well to beat them.
One of the numbers that's weird and it sticks out to me when we played them down there that first time, and Brent Wishon, who is a 6'9" sophomore, came in averaging 9 points a game down there. did not score against you guys in that game. In the game on Thursday night down at Florida Gulf Coast, he went 3 for 11, all three-point shots. This is a 6'9" front line guy. That's an odd number setup right there, isn't it?
It kind of is, but in this day and age, that's what the big guys do. They shoot threes. I mean, that's what he does. Probably 95% of his shots are three-pointers. I mean, that's what he does. He's got a very quick release. It's going to be key that we do not let him get clean looks.
What do you need to do? I mean, obviously you need to shoot better, but what is a couple of things that when you look at Lipscomb game 1 back on the 10th of January and you look forward to this coming Saturday, thinking if we can do these couple of things, we'll have a much better chance of winning?
Defensively, transition defense. And then we're going to have to match their physicality. They do a tremendous job of being physical, and the ball goes in the air, of getting offensive rebounds. And they do a great job using their bodies and knocking you out of the way. And then offensively, we're going to have balance. I don't think we had great balance in that game. I think Jalen got in foul trouble the first half, and we played without him for about 14 minutes. And so we're going to have great balance, getting it inside, opportunistic threes, and also attacking the hole off the dribble to get ourselves to the free throw line.
Yeah, Jalen picked up his second foul at the 6:23 mark of the first half, so he was out the last basically 6.5 minutes, and so that certainly hurt you. So you guys are going into now the second half of the conference season having won 3, lost 4. And again, that goal to try to get to the upper echelon, to at least get one home game, but it's gonna necessitate you beating a couple of teams that maybe you didn't beat in the first go round, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Those are probably the standings right there that people picked how they were supposed to finish. It's interesting that's how they sit right now. But again, we probably stole one at Upstate. We weren't supposed to. But again, yeah, you're right. We're going to have to go find one on the road again and hold court at home.
All right, Dave, thank you for coming by as usual. Settle into a little pizza dinner here at the Mellow Mushroom, and we look forward to talking with you on Saturday night before the game against the Lipscomb Bisons.
All right, thank you very much.
Dave Bezold, the head coach of the NKU Norse here at the Mellow Mushroom. This is Norse Nation. We'll come back, switch gears, and talk with Dawn Pltizuweit, the head coach of the NKU women's team, about their weekend and what's coming up for them when we come back after this. From Learfield Sports, this is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. Norse Nation rolls on from the Mellow Mushroom Wilder here off I-275 and exit 77. We'd love to have you come on down. Still a half an hour worth of the show to go, and that means you can still come on down, order pizza. You buy one, you get one free, and that's good news indeed. We, on the air, will shift gears and talk about the women's basketball team with head coach Dawn Pltizuweit. And Dawn, I know it was for you, like it was for the men's side, not the greatest of weekends, but you had the upside win on Thursday in which you picked up a 68-62 win over Stetson. And so right now, again, halfway through the conference season, your team's sitting in third place at 4-3. Again, battling for positioning seed-wise for the upcoming conference tournament, which you guys will get to participate in for the first time.
Well, it's exciting to be talking about the conference tournament and be talking about seeding, although we don't talk about seeding with our team. We talk about the next possession and the next game. And so we really had a very big weekend. We talked about the start of the conference season with 4 out of 5 games on the road. We return back to play the 2 top teams in the conference in 4 out of 5 games. We play them at home, we have Lipscomb, and then we go on the road and we play them. So a very, very pivotal part of our season. I thought our young ladies played extremely, extremely well against Stetson, and actually played very well against Florida Gulf Coast for probably 25 minutes of the game, and then we kind of got overpowered by Florida Gulf Coast at that point in time.
Yeah, the Lipscomb game on Saturday will mark the end of 3 straight home games for you. You go down to the trip that the men's team just came off, Florida Gulf Coast Stetson, then right back home for 3 home games. So 6 of 8 games in that stretch at home. You really can't ask for much more than that.
Well, and that was really important that we started off the season well with the tough stretch that we had, because now we need to take care of business to the best of our ability and really capitalize on those opportunities.
Well, let's take a look at the games. The Stetson game at home at the Bank of Kentucky Center on Thursday night. You win that one by 6, 68-62. It was a tight first 10 minutes or so, though, wasn't it? It was, and I thought that it was really important that we did a great job defensively to start the game, and we really did. Our ladies really found a way to compete. They've got a 6'3", 6'4" post player inside, Amber Porter, and Caitlin Garrity did a fantastic job early on in the game against her. The rest of her teammates really surrounded her and helped. And then we were also able to keep them away from the rim and limit their three-point shooters to tougher shots.
Now, that's hard to do for 40 minutes, but we were really able to kind of set the tone early in the game and took care of business on the defensive end early.
Well, you take that 18-point lead into the locker room. You start the second half hot. You lead not quite 4 minutes into the second half, 48-21. At that point in time, it's like, wow, this thing is really going well, and yet as the second half progressed, they slowly but surely got back in it, didn't they?
Well, you know, they're a team that really, Stetson is the best defensive team in the conference. So it's just a matter of time before they kind of turn up the heat a little bit and find ways to get you to be really uncomfortable. And then they're also a great scoring team. I mean, really, in our conference so far, outside of the game that they played against Florida Gulf Coast, they're averaging, I think they're beating teams by 23, 25 points a game. So they were going to make a run. Both the teams that we played this weekend are teams that are very, very potent and are going to make runs at you. The question is, can you answer those runs or can you slow them down a little bit?
Just over a minute to go in the game. The lead is down to 4, 64-60. Kind of take us through that last part of the game.
Well, I thought our players were really working hard to get the ball in bounds, advance the ball to the basket. We got to the free throw line, knocked in some big shots, and then they kind of calmed ourselves down a little bit and kept them away from the rim, went into a little bit of a zone to keep them away from the basket to slow things down a little bit, and then limited them to really just one opportunity and secured a rebound, and that was really, really big. So Caitlin Garrity at the end of the game, again, took a charge late in the game against their point guard, Jameis Sharp. I thought that was really big for us. And then we hit some free throws. So, but we were fortunate enough in that game. We kept attacking the rim, and we got to the free throw line. In the next game, we didn't get to the free throw line, and that really was a big difference for us.
Some of the numbers of that Stetson game, a double-double for Christine Rauscher, first of the year, 24 points, 12 rebounds, a 24-point game for Melanie Doss, which put her at 987 points in her career, just 13 away from becoming the 28th player in NKU women's basketball history to get to the 1,000 mark, and 11 assists, a career high in that one for Rihanna Gayhart.
Those are some pretty impressive numbers, aren't they? All the way across, from Christine to Mel to Rihanna Gayhart. 11 assists is really impressive. Mel played extremely well, played very well in both games this weekend. Christine had played after we came back from Jacksonville, North Florida, was really, really playing well. Got in foul trouble in the Florida Gulf Coast game, and so that kind of stymied her a little bit, but certainly a very, very big win for us, a great win for our team and a great win for our program on Thursday night.
And it takes you into Saturday then with a little momentum against Florida Gulf Coast, a team that we talked about last week, that you had ended their 44-game conference winning streak with a victory here at home. So needless to say, they were not going to overlook your team at Highland Heights this year.
I think that's a very fair assessment, And they're a very quality team. Again, very similar to Stetson in the regard that they are very, very sound defensively. So they hold you down, and they have the ability to score points, and they have the ability to score them. They're different than some of the teams in our league. They don't rely on pulling up and shooting shots at 15 feet. They get all the way to the rim, or they shoot threes. And they take 28 arc shots a game. They took 34 in our game. So they're a team that is really, really potent. And when they get hot, it's kind of watch out. You have to answer with them at that point in time.
You led early at 10-6, but this is the team that's ranked number 5 in the mid-major poll going into the weekend. They go on a 16-2 run to take control, and I don't think you guys led again, if I'm correct.
But we did. I think we cut it to 3 early in the second half, and then they got to the rim in transition against us a couple times, and then that really separated the game again. So, certainly what was great to see is that we played very, very hard. Our players had a lot of intensity going into it, but now going on the road and playing against them, we're going to have to play even better.
Some of the ancillary numbers of that one really tell the tale too. 16-4, they outscore you in points off turnovers. 10-2 with 15 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, they're a team that typically teams that play a 5-out, they don't go to the glass. It's harder to go to the glass from the perimeter that way. But they're a team that kind of defies that. They send 4, 5 kids to the glass, and they really get after it aggressively. I thought the best player in our league is predicted to be Whitney Knight. She's a kid that transferred from Duke, and she's really, really sound. She played the best game that I've seen her play against us. She played very, very well in that game.
Well, she had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 threes, 5 of 17 overall, and certainly part of the victory for the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles women's team as they win it 67-46. Not to be overlooked in that game was a 15-point effort by Melody Doss, one of the 3 seniors you have on the team. She's from Greenwood, Indiana. The 15 put her over at 1,002, so we congratulate Melody Doss, becoming the 28th player NKU women's history, 1,000 points.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Really, really excited for her. She's really put a lot of time in, worked hard at it, and she's someone that causes some mismatch problems because she can step out and shoot it. She posts up and she can score. So really excited for her. To gain that honor.
All right, so we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what the women have coming up this weekend. And like the men, it's a game at home against Lipscomb. We're also going to visit with one of the players on the women's team, Becca Little. We'll do that here at the Mellow Mushroom when we continue with Norse Nation right after this from Learfield Sports. This is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. We roll on at the Mellow Mushroom Wilder on Norse Nation. We're talking with head coach Dawn Pltizuweit of the NKU women's team. We'll also have Becca Little join us in a moment, one of the players that is on this year's club but is redshirting this year. She's a transfer. We'll get to her in a moment. But, Coach, let's look forward to Saturday afternoon. It's part of a men's-women's doubleheader on homecoming weekend against the Lipscomb Bisons, a team that you started conference play with back on the 10th of January. Beat them down there 81-70. What sticks out in your mind about that first meeting?
Well, I thought that we did a great job of sharing the basketball, attacking the rim. We got to the free throw line. We got to the basket. We hit some threes. I think we played a very balanced style offensively. Defensively, we really focused on taking away Ashley Southern to the best of our ability, and that's hard to do. We said we really focused a great deal on her. She still had 9 points and 13 rebounds. But she was a kid that we tried to change the rhythm of their offense a little bit. Now, will it work a second time? I don't know. We better have a backup plan for that. But they're a team that is very, very deadly because they space the floor and they shoot it, and they'll shoot it from deep. And they're always in the game because they shoot it from the arc very, very well.
You're trying to stay ahead of them. Lipscomb will come into the game with a mark of 3-4 in conference play. They are in a 3-way tie with Kennesaw State and South Carolina Upstate for 4th place right now. Overall, 8-13, and they had a double loss weekend last weekend. One of the big numbers that stuck out to me in that game was the points in the paint.
Yeah, I thought we did a great job of really attacking the rim in that game, either by dribble penetration or flashing kids into the block or attacking in transition. And that's something that, with this bye week now, it really gives us an opportunity to go back and spend 2 or 3 days really focusing on us. Gives us a couple days to get rest and then a couple days to work on us and get us better.
Well, all right. Well, anyone who follows college sports knows that there are redshirt players who come in, they transfer from another school, and generally speaking have to sit out a year, get acclimated to what's going on with the program, and then come back and play after that. And one of those players is with us now. Becca Little is a redshirt junior from Miramar, Florida, originally from Jamaica. Becca, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So you were recruited by Coach P when you were a senior in high school.
Yep.
Up in Michigan when she was an assistant coach up there, and
Yep.
you were trying to decide where to go. What led you, even though she didn't stay, what led you to pick Michigan when you're from Florida, deciding you want to go spend your winters in the ice cold?
Well, the winter honestly wasn't like a big factor in my decision. It was just being around people who made me feel comfortable in a family environment. And when I went on my visit, the team did that, the people that I met did that for me, and that's honestly why I chose to go to Michigan.
As it turned out, whether it was the right place or wrong place, you really didn't get a whole lot of playing time up there because you were injured your senior year, most of your senior year in high school. That kind of carried over to your freshman year, didn't it?
Yeah, I did.
And so did you play in a game your freshman year?
No, I didn't play in a single game my freshman year.
And then your sophomore year, you played, 14 games or
Yeah.
so. But you're still looking for, and it'll come next year, your first collegiate point, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She has a lot of collegiate rebounds.
I
I'll tell you
saw
that
that,
much.
yeah.
This kid can absolutely fly and get some rebounds, and we can use that in our conference. That's for sure.
So Becca, tell us, what led you then, after a couple of years at Michigan, to decide this is not the place for me, and NKU may be?
Well, it came down to honestly like playing time. The girls at Michigan, my team, the people I met there, like I said, made me feel like family. And when I came to NKU on my visit, it was kind of the same experience. Everybody made me feel comfortable, and knowing Coach Don at Michigan, I knew that this would be a perfect fit coming here.
How has it been then for you to come down here, healthy I presume now?
Yes.
And practicing all the time, but when it comes to the big day, the game day, then you got to sit aside and let the others go out and do the work.
It's definitely hard, but I enjoy practicing with the girls and just kind of doing what I can now, even though I'm not playing, to make everybody better. So during practice time, just going hard against them and stuff. But it is hard on game days not being able to suit out and go on the floor.
I would guess it also helps you become acclimated not only to the area, to academics, but also to the program that they're running here, which maybe was a little bit different than they were running at Michigan.
Yeah, it is definitely different because at Michigan was more set plays, and here is more of a motion offense, a little bit more freedom. So getting used to that has been a challenge, but I think I'm getting it now, and this year has helped me to understand the offense.
So you'll go through this season, and then the summer will really be when you start to kick it in gear, because you know that the end of the rainbow, so to speak, for you then will be November, when the first game comes around next season, and you'll be able to play. That's got to be something that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait.
It'll be different though, won't it? Because you've only played in 14 games in what will be 3 years since your senior year in high school.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge, but hopefully after the first few games, I get the jitters out and everything will kind of fall into place.
Listen, you said yeah, you were a little nervous sitting down here with the headset on, but I'll tell you, you, like some of your teammates that have been here, have really represented yourself very well. You've been terrific, you're well-spoken, and we appreciate your taking time to come here. But we'll ask you one more question before you leave. Tell us what you really like about the Northern Kentucky area that surprised you a little bit, or is this something that you're really enjoying since you've been down here?
Besides the whole family environment and being with the team, I like that Cincinnati's 10 minutes away. So that's always fun to go down there and just hang out down there.
People don't know how amazingly close it is, do they?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really close. Well, listen, Becca, continued success the rest of the season here and the work that you're doing with the team in practice, and we wish you nothing but the best next year when you become eligible, and knock on wood, everything goes well for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Becca Little, she's a redshirt junior, 6-footer from Miramar, Florida. She is redshirting this year. She'll be eligible to play for Dawn's team next year. Coach P, good luck on Saturday, the 4 o'clock game. We'll be there to watch it before we do the men's game on the radio side, and let's hope that things turn out Saturday like they did back on the 10th down there, which means you'll come out with a win.
That sounds great, Jim. And to Steve Moeller, I'm not sure what you're doing down in Florida yet, but you're kind of slacking on your job, so we just wanted to give you a quick little shout out, I guess, and bring us back some good weather and some good luck. How's that?
And bring us back a cable. We left a cable down there at Florida Gulf Coast. If you could swing by Alico Arena, pick that up on your way back, we'd appreciate it.
You know what? If he doesn't do it when we're down there, we'll help you out.
Will you do that?
We will help you out.
Dawn, thanks for stopping by as usual, coming by. And Becca, thanks to you also, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Dawn Pltizuweit, head coach of the Norse. Becca Little, redshirt junior on this year's women's team. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we've mentioned a couple of times, it is homecoming weekend this weekend at NKU. Alicia Lawrence, a coordinator of athletic development, is going to come up and tell us all about the activities coming up for homecoming weekend. From Learfield Sports, this is the NKU Sports Network on ESPN 1530. Final segment of this week's edition of Norse Nation. I want to remind you again that Saturday is a big, big day, a doubleheader day at the Bank of Kentucky Center. It starts with the women at 4 o'clock. They will host the Lipscomb Bisons, NKU women at 13-9 overall, 4-3 in the conference against the Bisons at 8-13 and 3-4, and then 3 hours after that at 7, it's the men hosting Lipscomb. That game is at 7. Our radio coverage will get things started at 6:30. You can hear that game on 55 KRC. But as we said, it is a big, big weekend, homecoming weekend at NKU, and Alicia Lawrence, who works out of the athletic department, the coordinator of athletic development, is with us. And Alicia, we're going to get to that, but first let's talk about what you guys did over the weekend down in Fort Myers. You had a big alumni gathering down there, didn't you?
Sure. So what we typically do at all of our marquee away games is we partner with the Alumni Association to throw pregame receptions, and we had about 150 people at this pregame reception. We've done them when we played at UK, and when we played at North Carolina, we did the same thing. This is the 3rd year that we've been down at Gulf Coast.
They have a nice facility down there, somewhat near the basketball arena. I guess it's walkable right next to the baseball field to host it, right?
Yes, it's in a room that overlooks the baseball and softball field. It's really beautiful because you can see all the gorgeous Florida weather and kind of soak up the sunshine too.
I think you said 150 or so people. Is that typical of the gatherings that you normally have, or is that larger or smaller?
This is the largest that we've had at Florida Gulf Coast. This it's grown every year consistently. So we have a lot of our season ticket holders who are down there for the winter, who snowbird, and then people who are down there for taking trips. And now we've got fans that are going to make the trip. So it's really great that it keeps growing.
So when the game started, your actually work was finished. You had been planning and working and setting aside tickets and the like, getting ready for the party, which started at, I guess, at 5 o'clock.
5
right?
o'clock. It was a 5 to 7 reception. And then we had President Mearns and our athletic director, Ken Butoff, and then Coach Bezold came over and spoke as well. And
yeah, it all went well.
Everything went great.
All right, now let's shift gears and talk about this weekend. Homecoming weekend, what's going to go on?
We have lots of things going on. There's a student tailgate that'll start at 1 o'clock, and then on Saturday, and then the women's game will tip off at 4. There's a chili cook-off on the concourse area for any alumni who are wanting to participate. All that information's on the Alumni Association website.
Which is? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Go to alumni.nku.edu is the website for that.
Right.
And then also for the men's game, we'll do Chalk Talk for the men's and the women's games. And then we'll also do for afterward, the Alumni Association's hosting a post-game party in the vault for
this
alumni.
Weekend, thank you. This weekend is also Hall of Fame weekend in terms of Sunday, so that'll be big too.
And they will all be recognized during the first media timeout of the men's game.
Excellent. Alicia, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alicia Lawrence from the Coordinating Athletic Development Office at NKU. That wraps up our show for this Monday night. Thanks to Dave Bezold. Thanks to Coach Pltizuweit for coming by. James Rapine has been our engineer back in the studio. Rick Uccino on site. I'm Jim Kelch. Thanks for listening to Norse Nation. We'll talk to you next Monday.